Welcome to the Disney Hour Express podcast. I'm Abbie.
And I'm Rob. We are two hopelessly romantic Disney enthusiasts,
Sharing fun stories, secret tips, and family travel experiences.
If you are a Disney newbie, or maybe a season pass holder, we hope you find this information helpful.
We turned our love of Disney into a unique boutique travel agency that books Disney and Universal vacations.
We've got a lot of stories, so cozy on up, choose your favorite drink,
Whether that be a cocktail or a hot chocolate,
and enjoy the Disney Hour Express.
Well, hello, Disney fans. Welcome to episode 62 of the Disney Hour Express. We're so happy to be here with you.
Would you call them Disney Files?
Ooh, I like it.
Disney Friends, Disney Freaks, Disney...
Yep. All of those things.
Oh.
Maybe minus the freaks, because that just sounds a little...
Disney
meh.
Freaks, Disney Geeks.
Disney Freaks and Geeks.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like all of it. We're going to be talking about what live stage shows are included in the price of your ticket. So when you're going to all the Disney theme parks, there's usually some sort of show somewhere, and we're going to focus just on those live stage shows. But there's a lot of different shows, right?
Now, before we get into that,
Of course.
now that we brought up the nicknames of you were nicknames, Disney fans, Disney friends, you know, podcasts, right? The listeners of podcasts, they usually have they come up with names of their people that listen to said podcast.
Ooh, okay.
So what would we call anyone that listens?
The DHE podcasters or podcast?
No, we're the podcasters. Podcastees, don't like it. The expressors, the hours. How's it going, expressors? How's it going, Diz?
The people that keep us in check. I don't know. We'll have to think about that one.
Yeah, we gotta maybe we'll do one of those polls like other podcasts do.
Oh,
they put polls out and
do they
ask for people to vote, and then when only 7 people vote because no one's actually engaging in anything, they just I'm just here to listen to the podcast.
Right.
Stop making me do things.
Making me do stuff.
This isn't my job. I'm not.
I understand.
I just like filling up my time with your voices for some reason.
Or the car ride. We are quite entertaining. I'm not gonna lie.
And you say that because we both listen to the show.
Well, I've got to make sure we don't sound too crazy. But I listen to a ton of shows, a ton of Disney shows across the way of the 5 days a week that I have to drive into work.
I only listen to one because that's all I need.
Gotcha. Well,
and I listen to the
fair.
Magical Minute on loop.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yesterday, Rob got to make an appearance on the Magical Minute because Nikki was a little busy this week. Totally understandable. But it was the most funny recording ever. I think he was feeling a little frustrated about how many takes we had to take.
Maybe we'll release one of the...
A little blooper.
One of the bloopers.
Maybe so.
And Abbie saved them all, of course.
That's what I do.
She's going to blackmail me. It's marital blackmail.
Hey. Let's jump into some shows. I'm over it.
All right, let's do it.
I'll kick things off with a show that's over at Hollywood Studios. It's the Beauty and the Beast live on stage. It's 25 minutes long. Now, of course, you're going to want to go and get in your line a little bit early, especially if you like to get front row seats. But of course, just remember, everything at Disney is very kid friendly. If your kid needs to get up in the aisle and be a little crazy during a show, nobody's gonna say anything, right? It's gonna be okay. So if 25,
I heard they get escorted from the park when they do that.
Never.
That's what we tell our kids.
No,
those cast members will take you right out of here.
I don't don't think I've ever said that. So if you look over at the Disney website, it tells you to be swept into the romantic fairy tale of the Beast, who could only be saved by love in this lavish Broadway style musical. It's performed in a 1,500 seat theater of the stars along Sunset Boulevard. So you'll find a lot of different shows happening at Hollywood Studios because they're all in that Sunset Boulevard or animation area. It's really, really great. This show started over there on November 22nd, 1991, which is the same day that the animated feature film Beauty and the Beast opened in theaters across the U.S. So that's really exciting. They go hand in hand together. Yeah. Really cute show. There's a couple of things that you should know. Food is allowed in the theater, so you might want to bring some treats, and it's a kind of a covered area where you can just cool down a little bit. It does have fans and just relax and watch the show. Even if your little one needs like a quiet place to nap, let's say like you got a baby, you can bring them on in there and just cool down a little bit. It's not indoors, but it is canopy covered and has the fans. So it's perfect again for the hot summer days or the rainy afternoons. The seating is bench seating, and it's said to be kind of uncomfortable. So you're thinking like bleacher type seating, but it's really not that long that you're sitting on it. Think about going to a football game. You're going to be sitting on bleacher seating a lot longer than you are for this 25-minute show. So no worries about that. Depends on the type of football
game, but yes.
This show is really interesting because it's a mixture of live action sound and pre-recorded sound. So you have to kind of have that expectation going in. The actors playing Belle and Gaston are the only two that have live dialogue and singing parts in the show.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, because if you think about it, the Beast is wearing a big mask and bodysuit or whatever you would call that. Yeah. And then you've got Mrs. Potts in a teapot and Chip in a teacup and then the candle. So there are no other, everything is from the actual movie. So the pre-recorded vocal performance by Robbie Benson as the Beast and Angela Lansbury as Mrs. Potts, Jerry Orbach as Lumiere, and all the voices are from the animated movie.
Rest in peace.
Exactly. So both Orbach and Lansbury have since passed away, but it's still an exciting show. I love that Belle is live and Gaston is live. It gives a very personable touch to the show, right? It makes the princess seem more tangible to the audience. I think that she is live and it's not pre-recorded, and you can hear her doing her breaths or maybe being slightly off key in some places, but it's all in greatness. That's what live performances are about, to hear all the different ways that it can be done. This show is typically at 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and 5 p.m. But of course, you need to check your My Disney Experience app to make sure that there are no variations to the times that it's being offered. Again, this is over at Hollywood Studios. This show is included in your ticket, which I think is phenomenal, right? We do live a close proximity to New York City, and the price for live Broadway shows is
bananas,
astronomical. It's really, really expensive. And then to bananas. Get in to the city and all that jazz, it's crazy. It's really heightened. We do it because we want our kids to be exposed to theater, but this is just a fabulous way, right, to do it, because it's all on par with Broadway, trained actors. Perfect. So I highly suggest this show. It is very loved across all the audiences. So we got that one. What's one? Show. Yeah. What's one you got?
So one that I have is something you'll find when you go swimming.
Oh.
In a
Sharks?
Big blue world.
Oh. Got it. Finding Rob. in the big blue ocean? Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. So we're talking about Nemo. And some of you may know it as Finding Nemo the musical. Mm-hmm. But what it's actually known as now is Finding Nemo, the Big Blue and Beyond. Oh. And so we'll talk, I'll tell you a little bit more about that name and why it has since changed as soon as I find my alleged link. Okay, so Finding Nemo, the musical, was a movie, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. That was based on the 2003 film.
Well, where is Finding Nemo? What park is it in?
Is in the Animal Kingdom.
Oh, okay, so it's included in your Animal Kingdom park ticket.
It's included in your Animal Kingdom park ticket. And it is a live stage show.
Indoors?
Indoors. That is, and again, just had that up. Rob's the worst at research.
It's okay. I put him on the spot. I said, no more me doing all the research, Robert. Well, you will do 3 researches.
So this is located in Dinoland, USA.
Okay. Yep.
It's supposedly, there's a lot of changes happening in Dinoland, really especially in Animal Kingdom. That's supposedly supposed to stay.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense because it's a pretty loved show.
Yes, it is. And it's gone beyond just this one show. It's become, right, because we've seen our kid perform it 5 times. 5 times. So that's why the songs are stuck in our heads. But it is a live show. It does have musical. It's kind of actors holding puppets, which again, our kids show, they had an actual like puppeteer make these things. They were pretty cool looking. But it's very similar on stage.
Didn't he also work at Disney originally? I think they had said that.
I don't know. That's something I'm not sure. But it's a 25-minute show. Mm-hmm. It looks like it has 6 showtimes. 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2:30, 3:30, 4:30. Mm-hmm. That's what it lists on the website. As Abbie said, that's subject to change. 25-minute long. Obviously, it's meant for kids. That's 25 minutes is a good enough time to keep their attention.
Yes.
Yeah. And back to where I was. So, wait, what? Finding Nemo was in 2003?
That's when the original movie came out, right? When the movie
started. And then they started holding previews for the show in 2006. Mm-hmm. The opening officially was in 2007. Mm-hmm. And, obviously it was a compacted version of the movie, so that kind of had to be rewritten. And the music all these songs aren't in the movie.
Right.
So it had to be a musical. The songs are written by 2 composers known by their names. Usually that's how people are known, by their names. Yeah. Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, who went on to write the songs for Frozen.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So they wrote these songs for Finding Nemo the musical, which was just a theme park show at the time.
Yeah.
And then went on to, move outside in the world. That went on, obviously, as there's a common, most of these shows, as you'll hear, that at least that I talk about, is that the show shut down in 2020. If you could imagine that, because COVID.
Right. All these shows did. Yeah. Big deal.
And you'll see that there's kind of like the seedier underbelly of all these stage shows, is that they were supposed to start in 2021.
Yes.
But there was the unions that these actors and so forth were working for. We're like, hey, hold on, Disney.
Right.
We got to make sure everything's safe. And they went kind of through like a legal back and forth.
Yeah.
It went as far as the union like videotaping, like the conditions that they had. Ooh. And it was just that like Disney was just trying to rush everyone back to the theme parks because they knew they were hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
And like no consideration for the actors at the time of the shows. So like, and even on some of the other shows that I'll bring up, they wanted people to wear face masks, and they were like, no, there's no face masks in Finding Nemo, so we're not.
So how do you do that?
Yeah, so they eventually came to an agreement, and like this show did start back up again in 2022, but they decided to change the name of it at the time. So it was like they announced that Finding Nemo the musical was no more, and that it was Finding Nemo, the Big Blue, and Beyond.
Okay. Now
you're wondering what was the difference? Is there a difference, or was it just the name? There was a difference. In this newer version, the Tank Gang is kind of the narrators. So you remember those are they're at the address P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Lane.
Yes. So all the animals that were in the tank, like the starfish and the sea. Was there a seahorse? I think.
I believe so. I just
there was
know
like
them,
a scary.
I just know them by Ruby.
Yes.
And,
the actors.
Yeah, the people that were in the actual show.
Shows. Yeah.
But that's why I remember that P. Sherman 42 Wallaby Lane, because
they repeated it over and over again.
So now they kind of narrate it, in that they also, right, because they escape as well. Yeah. They escape that tank at the end. But I guess in Finding Dory, which I've never seen, they're now like at some marine life park or something.
Exactly, where they have Bailey the beluga.
Oh, Bailey the beluga.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
And then at the end of that, at the end of the show, they like, spoiler, they also escape from there.
Yes.
And they're back out free. So that's like the,
Okay, so they mix the two stories together. That's kind of cool.
A little bit.
Excellent. Yes. I can't wait to see. I hope we make time to see this one this year, because it's one of the ones we haven't had time to see. We have seen the Lion King show over there in Animal Kingdom, our Festival of the Lion King, and I loved it.
Yeah, it was and that was our first time seeing it. And
yeah, so we'll have to make Finding Nemo a priority.
That's why it's always hard. Like the shows for us, we're so driven.
Yep.
And everything that we do. So even like we were just watching a video, the kids were watching YouTube, and it showed like the parade, it showed the different parades that happen in Magic
Fantasy
Kingdom.
Parade, yeah.
And Bailey's like, how come we never go to these parades? You're like, because we're usually on a ride.
I know. We're so like in the park, and the parades always happen. I mean, that's not fair either, because they do go all the way over to like Fantasyland and everywhere, but like Frontierland, but like it's we're usually in it, so we got to make some priority shifts, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's where it started turning a little more, where we started doing more shows, like Festival of the Lion King.
But to be honest too, our for the last couple of years, we've been going, the four of us, and in the beginning for the first 2 years there weren't shows, right? So what our kids can remember of going back to the parks after COVID, it was still kind of closed down. Our shows were different, or things we didn't personally want to be in enclosed rooms if we could help it. So so things have really changed, and now I think we can experience more.
Now, before we move on to your next show, I got to ask you, since we're so familiar with Finding Nemo, if you could remember, what was your favorite song? Just so that if anyone goes to see this now, they could like,
Okay, so I have to say, and maybe it's because the way that our kiddo's friend sang it, but there's a song where Bruce the shark is like,
fish are friends, fish are friends.
Yes, this one.
Not food.
Yes, but then like there's something about like the whole idea of the song changes in the middle where he gets like a sniff of
having fish tonight.
Yes, in the way this little girl Maya, who we know sang it, was so good. Like she's I'm having fish tonight, and just in it. It was so good.
Okay.
So I really do like that song. I think it's just a cute little crossover. It's the angel and the devil on the shoulder, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now you're just adding depth into the Finding Nemo.
I mean, that's who I am. I add the depth. Thank you very much.
And depth into that ocean. All right.
So moving on, our next live show that I'm going to talk about is Disney Junior Play and Dance. That's again over at Hollywood Studios. This show, I would really suggest that it's for really younger crowds. We're talking like preschoolers, kindergarteners. It's in Animation Courtyard Theater. And the reason why I say it's younger, but definitely a necessity, is because it's like they're getting you to try to dance, right? With simple dance moves. So there's a stage in front of you and it's indoors. So it's nice and cool. There's bubbles going off. There's some lights flashing here and there. It's kind of a darker theater. And on stage, they're going to see their favorites, including Mickey at the end. And sometimes I don't think there's a big opportunity for up close Mickey adventures, so or like meet and greet sometimes, and you're not going to meet and greet Mickey here, but he's going to be on stage. And I think when you're small and you have kind of a closer encounter, that's super magical. So a side note about Animation Courtyard, where you can find this show, this section of the park was original starting point for the tours of the park's active production studios, right? Back when this was MGM Studios, and this is where they recorded all, what was it, like Nickelodeon and things
Disney
like that.
Channel stuff.
Disney Channel stuff. Yeah.
And Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah. So they had to reorganize all of it as they started to enlarge the park, and this became just a regular animation courtyard where you can see shows. So this production, Disney Junior Play and Dance, is about 10 minutes long, but you'll want to go a little bit more longer, because they do have kind of a what do you call that person? Like somebody that like revs up the audience, like a host maybe.
Okay. They have like a warm-up performer. Okay.
Yeah. So it was originally known as Playhouse Disney Live on Stage starting in 2001 and changed to Disney Junior Live on Stage in 2011. And it's gone through a few changes here and there as Disney progresses. Different new characters come out, and other characters kind of exit the scene. There's lots of dancing and favorite songs. They have Encanto. They've got some nice grooves going on there. And then, of course, some songs from Moana. And that's in between seeing characters come on stage. So that's kind of what elongates the show. As you get into the groove on the dance floor, a DJ will start the celebration. So that's the word I was really looking for. I guess a DJ, but he's like a crowd hyper, I guess.
Mr. DJ.
Yeah. So you'll join Doc McStuffins and cure your dance fever during a fun-filled, feel-good musical number. So Doc McStuffin does a lot of like stretching. Think of like Jazzercise. She's like trying to get your body stretched out. She's the really a loved character that I think everybody, and they have like in the background, they have her show on the screen, and Doc McStuffin's doctor's office kind of thing. And then you have Timon that comes out and does some hula dancing, which is cute, but it's kind of funny to go from like a Doc McStuffins to a Timon because they're so vastly different.
It's true.
And then you're going to get down with the whole show that I saw started with Vampirina, but maybe they change it up. You get to boogie with Vampirina, who does follow along dance. So like she'll do a move and want you to do the move along with her, or like kind of like a little number, which is cute and fun. And then finally at the end, Mickey Mouse arrives to teach you his best roadster race moves. So again, there was like a little short about Mickey on the roadster races, and it's cute. Direct from Hot Dog Hills. So there are usually a ton of times.
You're talking hot dog, diggity dog?
That's right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. A ton of show times for this. You'll always want to check, but they're kind of like 9:55, 10:35, 11:15. So just keep an eye on the times. And as I said, it's indoors. Great place to cool down. Really fun. Keep your kids active.
You got to stay active. That's the main thing, because they are walking, right? But you want them to be able to burn off even more.
Well, you know what? Your kids could be needing to get out of the stroller and burn off some, and you might be needing to sit down in a cool place. So it works out, right?
No, it's true. It's true.
So that's my roundup for that show. What show have you got?
So I have something that maybe some people might call spectacular. Some people might call it extraordinary. Oh. Some people might call it a downright good time. I like to think of it as pretty phantasmic.
Ooh.
You didn't know where I was going with that one. Loved show. Yeah. Now, this was another one that we, kind of didn't know about. Like, we knew about it, but we didn't see until just recently, which is kind of crazy.
Right. Well, if you think about it again, kids' ages and our times, like, we are home in bed by the time that this goes off. So it wasn't ever a priority for us. Now that the kids are getting older, we definitely are going to try to go see this show for sure. Where does this show happen?
This show happens in Hollywood Studios again. Right over by where the Beauty and the Beast live stage show happens.
That's right.
Right on Hollywood Boulevard there. Or Sunset Boulevard. But it's much further back.
It is. It's like a very misleadingly long walk to get to it.
So this was a show that actually originated over in Disneyland.
Cool.
It started in 1992. The Imagineers were kind of like, hey, we need to do something over at the River of the Americas. Let's make we want you to use water and lights and put on a show. And this is what they came up with. Phantasmic. Ta-da. I've taken on the duty of that. Anytime I want to say the word fantastic, I just replace it with phantasmic.
That's so
phantasmic. So yeah, it started over in 1992. They had to modify a part of Tom Sawyer Island. If you've ever been to Disneyland, that's over where the Rivers of the America were. And that's where it took place. It then had to change in 2016. It changed because they were that's where they were going to put the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
Was taking the place of some of the area around there, because they had to do all this work to get to make it safer for people to view, because you're like standing over water, and it was just kind of like a show that you just kind of like lined up for or you filled in an area and then you just watched it. They then created an entire amphitheater for it and then changed it there. Then in 1996, so we're backing up a little bit more, they said, you know what, let's put this on. People loving it, love the show. Let's do it in Disney World. Said, well, we're going to find a place that we can set it up, and it's going to be there. You know, this is going to be its home. And they built an entire amphitheater.
And it's awesome.
Awesome. Like we said, it's pushed all the way. It's a 10,000 seat amphitheater.
Yep. Built in. It's like full a lot.
Yeah, it's full a lot.
Wild.
It was at the time they were actually doing it replaced a fireworks show that was happening at Hollywood Studio. It was called Sorcery in the Sky. It was like an aging fireworks show, and it wasn't really a hit, so they decided to open this up. Now, you're asking, when can I see the show?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of back and forth about it.
Okay.
Like if you went tonight, March 24th,
right,
Sunday, you could only see the show at 8:30.
Oh.
If you go tomorrow night, you could see it at 8:30 and 10 o'clock.
Gotcha.
Now, when we went, which was in August, and so it was only at 9:30. We saw a 9:30 show. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it changes. So the times change on that. So there's either 1 or 2 shows, and and the times will differ. I don't know.
That's so interesting. Do they have, I'm just trying to think, is it the extra hours that you purchase aren't until the 27th at Hollywood Studios? I was just wondering if they had any extended hours.
Yeah, I mean, starting, it looks like all next week, starting, there's 2 shows, one at 8:30, one at 10.
I'm glad that they're doing it, though, because, again, we've said numerous times on all of our social medias, it is busy. They're calling this like the revenge travel, where everybody seems to be going on spring break. But what's interesting is the draw for summer is different. But spring break is still high crowd.
You mean in summer?
Yes.
In summer.
Yes. So anyways, interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so they have that show. The show takes about 29 minutes. Is it kid friendly? Is it a kid friendly show? It is, but you have to I think we have to show it to Bailey.
You know what? I was actually thinking that last night when I was watching it on YouTube again.
Yeah, we were kind of watching it while we were doing research for the show, which obviously Abbie did a better job than I did.
He fell asleep. Yep. Anyways.
I'm an old man, all right? You know what? I'd already performed the magical minute. It was, I'm not a dancing monkey. It takes a lot of energy from me. I'm sorry. You're a pro, but...
I have nothing to say. But yes, I think we will show a preview just so that there's no shock to it. There's some scary. It's about Mickey's dream, right? Yeah. And it can get a little scary at parts with a big dragon that shoots fire.
But then even before all that, there's even there's all the Disney villains and it shows them in this new format where it kind of brings all these Disney villains together and they're saying things and it's very dark and it's there's water shooting everywhere and no one's in actual danger, but it is a lot. And then at the end of the show when this 40-foot tall dragon does appear, right? Because it's Maleficent gets she goes boosted up in the air. She gets boosted up in the air and then, transform into this dragon. And the heat was hot. I remember, obviously
we were in the third row.
We were in the third row. It was hot already. But that thing's blowing, fire, and then it lights up the water itself has, flames shooting out of it, and it's hot.
It's hot.
With that being said, last year over in Disneyland, the dragon actually caught on fire.
It did.
Had a little bit of had an accident. No one was harmed.
Right.
Other than the dragon itself, it didn't seem like anything was really burned, but it did. The dragon itself was set ablaze. They have now replaced that part. They reopened the show, but the dragon's not there anymore. They're still saying that they're reworking it. But as of right now, it's just a bigger battle between Mickey and Maleficent. Yeah. Kind of doing his sorcerer thing. There's, I know what a lot of you are asking right now. Is there a difference in the shows, right? Is there a big difference in the shows? There is. There's a big difference in the shows. They have this kind of, in the Hollywood studios, they have this big bubble sequence where it's war. And what happens is in Fantasmic is that there's all this water shooting up and there's actual video being shown projected on the water. So they have all these bubbles that happen at one point, and it basically goes through all of the Disney, almost every Disney cartoon you could think of. They show up on there. There's a section with Moana. She comes out and does her thing. There was Pocahontas. Yeah. But I think I'm not entirely sure if Pocahontas was replaced. Everything's kind of all jumbled all over the place, but yeah, so there's a lot of that. The ending, I guess, is different. The what is that? The what was the other? I lost my place here.
The ending was different. You're talking about the differences between the two.
Yes. It went difference between the versions. Yeah. So yeah, there's like more. There used to be a show in, I think it's worth noting, in Tokyo Disney Sea. They have since stopped that when everything shut down. They haven't run it back.
Oh, interesting.
I don't really know the reasons behind that. But the other difference being that the Disney World show in Hollywood Studios is about 27 minutes. The version of Disneyland is 22 minutes.
Okay.
Just because there's more Disney clips because with that bubble sequence, and then there's like additional villains, and then there's like that wall of water climax at the end of the Disney show, and that kind of makes the big difference. They're constantly adding more. They like replacing stuff. Yeah, and it seemed like for a while there they just wanted only newer IPs to be in part of Fantasmic, because you're essentially seeing everything. And we've mentioned before, there's a part like before things get dark and the nightmare happens, like they bring out like 4 of the couples, like some of the famous couples that come out,
like Belle and the Beast, and Snow White and Prince Charming.
Yep, and Prince Eric and Ariel and who was the other one?
Was it Tiana?
I think it was. Yeah, it's
Prince Naveen.
I think it was Tiana. I think so. Well, to check. But yeah, but so then at the end in both shows, like the Tom Sawyer Riverboat comes out, piloted by Mickey. Yes. But it's like has like 40 characters on the boat.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and you'll see them, and those who's on there changes, but like it's funny because you'll see, like we saw the day before we went to the Beauty and the Beast. What's the name of the show in Magic Kingdom where the kids participated?
Oh, Belle's Enchanted
Belle's
Tales.
Enchanted, yes. And so I saw the Belle that was in there was playing Belle on the boat. Yes. Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's the same Belle. I was like, they're just moving them all around, right? Because they're not showing that at 9:30. So
right. Well, you know what was so interesting is our 9-year-old last year, it was the first time she pointed it out, is that we had seen Belle twice, right? We saw her, I believe, again over at Akrosh. I'll never be able to say that. Yes. As well as Enchanted Tales with Belle. And she goes, that was a different Belle. And I was like, ooh. And here we go. But it was the first time she had really pointed that out. Yeah. So this is a fabulous show. Highly, highly recommend. It is very popular. So our recommendation would be to get one of those priority seatings, and you can do that by eating in the park at a qualified restaurant or a qualifying restaurant that does
the Disney dining package. It's called the Fantasmic dining package.
Yes.
And you could get those when you could even use your Disney dining plan and use it at the 50s Primetime Cafe, Hollywood and Vine, Mama Melrose's, or the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. Or you can also get it at the Brown Derby for those people on the dining plan. That's like a 2-table service meal. So it takes 2 of your things. But yeah, so you get that, you eat there, and then they give you like a ticket to then get into like the priority seating area. Yeah. And
which is think great.
It's definitely worth it.
We love those seats. We had a great time. It is a long wait. They require you to be there around 9 p.m. for a 9:30 show. Yeah. So you'll be hanging out for a little time. If you need to be, looking at your socials or something, save it till this time, right? Hang out and relax.
Maybe bring a fan. Make sure your fans are charged because
there's no fans. It's outdoors. So that's another thing to know, that this show can get canceled. I was talking to travel specialist Nikki. This is one of her favorite shows, and she says every time she goes, she's sitting there and then it starts to rain and the show gets canceled. So that's a huge bummer. Huge bummer.
But I did have an interesting fact that, of course, now I can't find the actual name of it. But so what they will do is when it does get canceled is that they still put on a show when it's raining.
Oh,
or when it's not safe, because they have to preload like the fireworks into their, and it's not safe to unload them.
Yeah.
So they have to fire them out. So they do a 5-minute show and it's just the water fountains and the preloaded fireworks. So there's no characters or anything. And it's like called Phantasmic. It's like
canceled.
They put something in the name and it's like a 5-minute show and you just go and watch it.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. Yeah.
So that's Phantasmic.
Nice. Love that show. Okay. Another one also over in Hollywood Studios. Again, this is just the place where a lot of live action happens.
Being that we're in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. So for the first time in forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration. We adored this show.
Yeah.
The Disney website says that the show is about an hour, but it's actually really more about 30 minutes. But when you think about seating and getting acclimated and everything, it will take about an hour of your time for sure. It's every hour on the half hour, if that makes sense. So like 10:30, 11:30. It goes up until the end of the evening around 6:30 or so. The Disney website has a really cute definition of it. It says, drift over to your seat in the theater and listen spellbound as the royal historians of Arendelle recount the frosty story of their enchanted kingdom. Watch as thrilling moments from the movie play on screen, then cheer as Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff appear to sing along with the audience. And the projected lyrics make it easy for you to like sing along if you don't remember the lyrics. So the show kicks off with Anna, who introduces the Arendelle's royal historians, who are comedically retelling the story of the film, which is really fun. I know Rob had a lot of giggles throughout this. He liked the storytellers.
I think it's the script that they're working on, and then just the actors themselves. They do a really good job. It's well written. And they add their own flair to it. I heard that each like kind of actor, it's not the same, it's not the same actor every day because that'd be mean to them because the park's open 7 days a week. But these people are it's tough. Yeah, so there's different actors and they all kind of bring their different spin to it. But I heard it's all good. The ones that we saw,
they were fabulous.
I wish I knew their names. I'd shout them out. But they did a really good job, and it's all full of like. You're in Arendelle, but there's all pop culture references as well that they're naming things in actual real life. So it's
now out of all the shows that we've mentioned so far, this is the show that I think is most live because all of the actors on stage have microphones and they're chatting it up and being very interactive.
That's true.
I mean, all the shows we mentioned have portions of this, but characters are in dress. And so a lot of it's pre-recorded. But this one, they have the pre-recorded songs, which are fabulous, but a lot is going on. There's an epic scene at the end where Elsa makes it snow over the audience. And the little kids in the audience, their jaws are dropping, they're eating the Snope and like having the best time ever. The show is over at the Hyperion Theater, which is in Echo Lake. But previously, prior to that, it had been over at the Premier Theater in the Streets of America. But by 2015, it went over to Hyperion Theater.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm correct, and you'll have to, I'm always directionally challenged, but the Hyperion Theater is kind of like closer, is it closer to Toy Story Land or is it closer to Star Wars?
Closer to Star
Yes, right.
So it's kind of like by right Star before. Tours.
Okay.
It's before you get to Star Tours. And like, if you keep going straight past Hyperion, that's where like Mama Melrose is.
Yes, and
all of that. And then you reach Star Wars and then you get over to like Muppet. And then eventually Galaxy's Edge. Yeah. But it's Hyperion's right by the lake there where Gertie the dinosaur is.
Yes.
So it's right past that.
Perfect. So I mean, highly recommend the show. You do need to go early because it's a popular show. If you want your seats, you gotta work for them. I think the most interesting part to me is how small their gift shop is for what a popular show this is. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, that's easily skippable because there's really just nothing there. And I think that's just the way the Hyperion Theater was set up. They were more focused on seating rather than on having a large gift shop. I feel like there could
be like more like billboard, like it could be like something like out there more, even though they have like a marquee and stuff. It's still, I don't know. It's kind of hard.
I agree. The show is highly recommended by guests. About 95% of viewers recommend it. And this past year, surprisingly, during Jollywood Nights, this was the first time that they did this. The theater was actually taken over in the evenings for What's This? Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas sing-along. Oh. So they had kind of hijacked the theater, but just for the Jollywood Nights. And I wonder if they'll continue to do that in the future. We'll see. So a good show all around. Very fun. Great for all ages, right?
Yes,
nothing scary
definitely
happening there.
And
except
again,
for when you try to get out of the theater. It's a little scary because it gets very crowded.
If it rains,
and if it's raining,
especially,
you're stuck because they have like this huge overhang and like nobody moves.
No one wants to move and people start yelling. And
oh, man.
It was a little bit of an event. But I think, we'll definitely, if a show works out, I think we'd go see it again if the timing works.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that.
And it's good. And I'll tell you, it's good for adults because, look, let's be honest. You've seen Frozen, the songs, Let It Go, stuck in your head somewhere deep in your mind. And during the show, you could belt it out, even if you don't know how to sing. Like,
everybody's going to love it.
And people are just snoping it and singing along. So it's a good one.
So as far as seating goes in the theater, I would suggest we sat kind of, I think, in the second or third row, and we were looking up the whole time because the stage is elevated. So you might want to get a little bit mid-section of the theater. But we had a really great, I felt like
we also
the actors and actresses were touchable where we were sitting
there.
For sure.
And we also used Lightning Lane.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? We used that on it. We had the fast pass, but it was, but we did go in the Lightning Lane entrance, and they let you in a little earlier, and you get your choice of the thing. So I think you'll be fine if you don't use a Lightning Lane. It fits a large amount of people, and the seat, like anywhere really, and the seating's good. But if you do you're using Genie Plus, you have one available. I think it's worth it for the kids so that they get up close and not worried about sitting behind the guy with a big yellow hat.
Exactly.
Curious
I agree.
George.
Highly. Okay. So what's now again, there's many more live theater shows that you can catch that are included in your ticket, but we're only going to do just one more today. What have you got over there?
This one's a special one.
Yes.
So this show also can be called Spectacular. And in fact, it is, because it's Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular.
Absolutely. Love this one.
No, this is a good one. This is a show that's based on the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark, starring Harrison Ford. I don't know if you've seen it. I know you've seen it, but I'm speaking to the listener now, or the expressors, the hoursists. No, okay. So it started in 1989. It's based on Raiders of the Lost Ark, which, sidebar, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Here's something that if you've ever seen the movie, and you might have not thought about this, Indiana Jones does not need to be in that movie for the bad guys to be defeated. Essentially, Indiana Jones does nothing in that movie. Except entertain us, right? If you take him out,
important.
If you the real protagonist of that movie, the Holy Spirit, he melts the Nazis' faces. So just think about that. Indiana Jones was pointless in that movie.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, so that's something to think about.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, it started in 1989. That's not when MGM Studios opened, but it came shortly thereafter.
Okay.
And it's a mixture of it tells the story of these Indiana Jones set pieces, but it's told by, like, you're getting like a behind the scenes introduction by the stunt coordinators, and there's a director and, a stunt coordinator. And then they show you, like, in between as the sets are moving, they show you all these different, like how stunt work happens. Like they give you a little talk. It's just a great time. It's a 29 to 27 minute show. 27 to 29 minutes. On the website, again, another thing, it says an hour, but that's just like, I think they just tell you to block off the time.
Yeah, you don't make dining plans and things like that during this time.
So it looks like they have, and this could change, between 5 to 6 shows a day. First show today was 10:45. They have a 12 o'clock, a 1:15, a 3:15, and a 4:30, and then they call it quits. I guess that's just, as it gets, they don't do it while it's dark out. They want to have natural lighting.
Sure.
It is outside. The parts of it are outside. Actually, you're covered. The audience is covered. The actual actors, can be uncovered. So it is subject. If it's raining, they're not gonna.
Right.
They won't cancel. So take a peek at what the weather is saying before you book it. So like I said, 1989. It started. It went on in its version till 2000. It closed for 6 months for refurbishment, and then it was going strong until then. Obviously, COVID hit. It came back. There was a whole dispute thing. It was originally scheduled they wanted it back for 2022, which was the 50th anniversary of Disney World, and it came back in 2021. The big noticeable difference from pre-COVID to now is that before they used to ask for volunteers to come and be a part of the show, right? But they would do it in a way, obviously you become part of the show, but you were never like in any of they keep you well out of the action part of it, except for one person. There was always one person that came up that somehow got dragged into the stunt part, and guess what? That person was an actual, it was a stunt actor. It was a plant.
As an audience member, you're like, oh my god,
that
poor guy. He was just on his little vacation, and here he is now.
He's taking a fall. He's getting hit. Yeah, what's going on here? So they would have a plan. That was a fun part of it, and I'm kind of sad that that's no longer part of the show. But I guess they're like, well, we took it out. We're not taking the insurance hit on that. But even though they kept you safe and so on and so forth. But there were some there were some fun facts. Like I said, 1989 started with dress rehearsals, and then 6 months later they came out with the full show. It's the first attraction to use computer-based control system. It's kind of like sequences the complex live action events and pyrotechnics in real time. So it's not just like a guy hitting buttons. That does happen at certain points, but like the actors themselves are also in control of a lot of the things. So like as Indiana Jones is like hopping over those sticks that kind of pop up and to get him, like he's actually the one that's
control.
Yeah, he's the one he's hitting a little button that's remote control. And
that's talent to do that many things at the same time, to be honest.
No, really. These guys are incredibly talented, and they're entertaining, and they come out and they do their things. Interesting facts about the show, fun facts. How the show has changed over the years. When the show premiered, Indy carried a pistol, as he does in the movie. Indiana Jones' famous scene in the bazaar, the guy with the sword, and then he shoots him. He just carries a whip.
Yeah.
Right? Don't want to go there. The bizarre stunt scene, the villains or the bad guys used to carry swords, and now they just carry sticks. Don't really know why. This was the most.
I thought they still carried swords, but I guess not.
I think maybe just like at one point they're showing like swords, but it's just like they're just using sticks now to hit. In 2004, it took all the way from 1989 for 15 years. Everyone that came to watch the show had to watch the Germans' trucks, aircraft, and actor uniforms had actual Nazi swastikas on them. Right? You never, because it's just one of those things. You're like,
right.
especially 80s and 90s, I guess we were also desensitized to everything that was going on. Whereas like, especially now, forget it. That would never make it. It made it all the way to 2004 before they just replaced it. It's still with like something called a Balkan cruise. I think is just a German symbol as opposed to being, Nazi related. Mm-hmm. So they also like, there's no actual, there used to be deaths in quotations. I'm using air quotes. They don't have those anymore. It's just like people taking a fall, but then you kind of see them get up and like chase Indy again. Yeah. 5 interesting behind the scenes interesting things. 5 more. The show has more moving parts than any other live show in Walt Disney World.
Yep.
And the sets for each scene weigh 100 tons.
Oh man,
those things are heavy, right? Those are big, huge. Like you see them have to use. They're using like tractors to pull them off and stuff like that. Obviously, one of the most famous scenes in Raiders of the Lost Ark is the rolling ball scene, and that's also recreated in the Stunt Spectacular. It shows like the actor. It looks like as if the ball just rolled over him. Yeah, but that's not the case. There's a place where like he goes down so it doesn't actually hit him, because that ball, it's 12 feet in diameter and it weighs 400 pounds and it's made of rubber. Yeah. Right. So like you wouldn't just want that rolling over you. Yeah. They do have this scene. It's right after that. Like, he's like, I was in a lot of danger, he's playing it up. He's like, I was in a lot of danger, like that, this thing. And then it just shows the two guys behind him pushing it up, which it's still heavy, 400 pounds, that's a heavy thing. The performer playing Indiana Jones changes into a new costume after every show because it always gets wear and tear.
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine?
So like every show. Huh? Yeah. That's a lot of costume.
It's a lot of costume. But they're like doing crazy stunts, so they want to make sure Indy's and you don't want to see his boxers
that's true. Yeah.
Poking out through or something like that. So they do that. There's contingencies in place for any stunt that not when it goes wrong, because sometimes something doesn't fire or something doesn't. So like there's so many. The crew has said there are 12 possible contingencies for the first scene alone, so the performers have a backup plan for every possible scenario.
That makes sense, and that's amazing.
Wow. There's a outside of the show area, there's a well with a sign. It says warning, and has a rope hanging from it. It says warning, do not pull rope. If you do pull that rope, if you're one of those people that are like, I'm a rebel. Yeah. I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to pull that rope. You'll hear a man stuck in the bottom of the well. And he says like several different things if you pull it repeatedly. So I've never actually paid attention. And I was having a hard time imagining it until I saw a picture and I was like, oh yeah, I know what it is. But you could go pull that rope, people. Okay. Get your fun stuff on. Now, would you say is this for kids?
Yes. 100%, because it's so like it just captures your attention, and I think it gives children an imagination of what they could do or how they can move their bodies or be stunts. It's cool.
And that's where it was again our litmus test is Bailey, because she's the most youngest and she's like afraid of things that the unknown I think is more what scares her. So she was worried about it, and we put it on, and she has she doesn't like loud noises, so we gave her something to put over her ears, ear protection, hearing protection, and she put on, and both girls loved it. They had a really good time.
Had the best time.
They were laughing, they were amazed, they were all this stuff. So I definitely think it's worth it. I think any kid could go and see it, whether whatever they're into, and it's like watching a fun YouTube show or something, but seeing it all play out in real. Yeah. The seats are long metal. They're metal back benches. Like I said, they have these huge fans that cover over you, so it is like a nice relief to get out of the sun. And it's a little bit darker, and the fans usually cover no matter where you're sitting.
Yes.
It does have a lightning lane. It's not I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily worth using it for.
So either. There's so many seats.
It's this huge amphitheater that they have for it, and it's like it just gets filled up to the last. That's what usually like takes the most amount of time, is just getting everyone filed in there.
And they make you move over 10,000 times to fill up the seats and spaces, which is a little bit on the annoying side, but expected.
Yeah. So if you just show up a little bit before the show starts, and you'll get a seat. Save your Genie Pluses for
something
to
a
go
little
back
bit
on
more.
the Millennium Falcon or something.
Absolutely. So those are a couple of shows all included in your ticket. And because we are talking about live action stage shows and such, I just wanted to let you know that there is a Walt Disney World open casting call.
Yeah.
And guess what it's for?
The Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular?
Nope. It's for Darth Vader, Chewbacca, and the Beast. Because you all need to have a height range of 6'1" or 6 to 6'4". So you have to be very, very tall to play those.
Now I wonder.
Characters.
So, looking at the Disney, I went on DisneyWorld.com just to see a list of like live action shows. It still lists a live action show. Again, all of this in Hollywood Studios, Temple of the Jedi.
It did, yeah.
Which is weird because that has been closed for like a while.
Really long time.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do some research to see if they're thinking about bringing it back.
And then also because like Darth Vader, you're saying it's casting Darth Vader, but I don't know if Darth Vader appearing in the Galaxy's Edge, because everything's so based on you don't see Luke's, you don't see Princess Leia or Luke Skywalker or any of those, because everything's based on the new trilogy.
Right.
There is, I know, as Disney Visa card members, we were offered to have a photo op with Darth Vader.
Yes.
But maybe that's the only reason why they're... You see Chewie, because Chewie's in everything. You know what I mean?
But you don't really see the Beast out and about, just at the stage show.
Yeah.
So how interesting, I wonder. But if you're interested in those roles, then you need to be there on April 10th at 9 a.m.
And that's one of the things I was most amazed by, is looking when we were watching Fantasmic last night, was they're on, the couples are on this boat, and Beauty and the Beast are doing their dancing thing, and they're like looking away and feigning that that they want to be, but like this guy, the person in the guy or girl, could be anyone, in the Beast costume is like, gracefully moving around in this smaller enclosed space. I'm
on
like, how is he not
the top of a boat.
Yeah,
like on the
how
second
are they
tier.
not like falling over? You probably can only see in front of you, and yet they're both gracefully like moving around and stuff like that. So that was amazing to me.
It is pretty amazing. It's pretty great. Like, I don't know.
But then when you go over to Ariel, who's just now, she has a tail, so she's just sitting there
and waving,
like mermaid out of water, and like, I want that job over the Beast. I'll put on the seashells.
Awesome. Well, there's some exciting news that hit this past week. Lots of new experiences coming this summer. So I think they're still really looking to have summer travelers. Awesome time to go. So Disney Springs will now have a drone show called Disney Dreams That Soar. This show is supposed to be amongst the stars and will be available for viewing starting on May 24th, and it goes till September 2nd. Now, I have to say, I don't spend a lot of evening time at Disney Springs. I have, for sure. But this is interesting that they are opening up a show at Disney Springs.
Well, I think they needed, right? There kind of needs to be something besides shopping and eating.
Yes.
To like kind of keep you there.
Yes.
They have the Cirque du Soleil.
But it's Cirque du Soleil is very expensive. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things where you're just like, ooh, I've already spent all this money on my Disney tickets and resorts and stuff. Although any Cirque du Soleil show is amazing. I've
it's
seen
definitely
a few.
worth the experience.
They're awesome. But yeah, very cool. In Disneyland, they have a lot of shows in their kind of downtown Disney area. They have like a Festival of Trees and all sorts of different things. So I think they're trying to make it happen over at Disney World. So cool. Can't wait to see this. Now over at Pixar Plaza, starting on June 10th, Joy from Inside Out and Inside Out 2 will be available for some meet and greets. That's really exciting. We love Joy. And also starting on June 10th, well, that's going to start on June 10th. I'm going to say this a couple of times. June 10th to September 6th, a new summer sing-along featuring songs from Encanto is going to be over at the brand new Communicore Plaza stage. Staging area.
Communicore Plaza. Finally, the walls are coming down.
Finally, it's going to open. Isn't that awesome? And celebrations for The Lion King's 30th year anniversary, this makes me feel very old, will also kick off on June 10th to September 6th. You're going to be seeing Timon and Rafiki over at Rafiki's Planet Watch. If you haven't been there, take a little ride over. It's an easy peasy, like kind of afternoon hangout place that you can go. So again, Timon and Rafiki, they're going to be there for some meet and greets, and you'll find some fabulous new Lion King merch this summer to honor the celebration. Very, very, very cool.
Very cool. I like it.
You got any news for me over there
before
we wrap it up?
Our good friends at the Imagineers, I call them good friends because we don't know any of them. They have been ride testing on Tiana's Bayou.
Yeah.
Now, before it was just the logs were going through, right? What you're going to ride on, but now it's actual humans in there. Even though some would say the Imagineers are beyond human. But they're in there testing it, so it's getting closer. Again, all they've told us is summer 2024. For those of us that have summer plans to go to Disney, we're all fingers crossed, holding our breath that we'll be able to, don't hold your breath too long. Take the beignet out of your mouth and hopefully be able to ride Tiana's Bayou.
I can't wait.
So that is something to look forward to. Kind of wacky, not wacky, but this is not really in the parks, but kind of in the parks. Friends over in Disneyland, Haunted Mansion looks way different than the Disney World ride, like the setup of the mansion, what it is, what it looks like. But that's kind of like more famously known. The Disneyland ride. There was a man. His name is Mark Herr. Interesting. He made his house in Duluth, Georgia, to be an exact replica of the Haunted Mansion.
No way.
Yeah. So he actually just put it up for sale. Ooh. It's a 9,000 square foot home in Georgia. Dang. And it just went on sale for the low price of $2.2 million.
Excellent.
6 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms. And it looks it looks like the coloring, it looks like it had a white paint job versus the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland kind of has like the metal grating that blocks it's kind of like a browner color. So that looks a little different, but beyond that, it looks like almost an exact replica.
I like it.
Worth it.
So I've got, you said Imagineers, and that's, Imagineer word was made from the people who imagine, the engineers that imagine all this fun magic, right? What if our listeners are the Podaneers? Or oh, the face.
I can't believe she interrupted me for that.
No, Podaneers?
I mean, it's too broad. Like, because everyone's everyone has a podcast. There's a million Disney podcasts.
Disney-eers.
Yeah, but we need something that's like exclusive to us.
Like Disney-eers? No.
So exclusive to us, our Disney podcast. Fine. Like, we have to figure something out.
Podaneers. All right. Continue on, my friend.
Now going over to the other theme park, Universal Orlando. This is kind of like this is a deal that they have going on. And deal depends on your definition. Right now in Universal, if you purchase a Universal merchandise shopping card, you get a free wand.
What?
So here's the thing, right? You have to purchase a $300 minimum gift card.
Okay.
Which you could use it in the parks. Mm-hmm. So, but and then you get the free wand. They used to have this deal before, but it was only for the non-interactive wands.
Okay.
Now you could get it $300 gift card. You get a $65 wand, essentially. But there's also like it's only allowing you to choose from 4 different wands. It's not every wand that's in there. It's like 4 different ones.
Okay.
And you could see them posted. If you just look up that deal, if you think it's worth it. I mean, $300 gift card. If you're taking a 2-day trip to Universal, maybe more, you could even use it in your like hotel or the restaurants that are around there. I'm pretty sure, double check with your agent or the fine print. I think, you're going to be going through $300
pretty easily.
The kids are going to want a wand. It sounds like a good deal to me.
It does. I like it.
Now, they're also saying because they're doing that, right, when they're giving something away, because usually you're trying to get rid of it. You want it out. There has been a lot of patents filed, and we talked about them in another episode, for like the interactiveness of these wands inside the park, inside the Wizarding World. And they talked about upgrading it. Because right now, we've always said it's kind of spotty. It's hit or miss. It doesn't always work. It has to reset and all this. Okay. The kids are just flinging wands on it, and it's not working. Eventually, it does work, but so they're thinking that this is like the first step, is that they're unloading these older wands to then give way to this new technology that is just going to make us all buy more wands, right? Because we
need more wands.
I'm going to have to buy
a new one. Do you know where your wand is?
I was going to say something lewd, so no.
No, got it.
I don't.
We'll have
I think it's in our bedroom.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Got it.
On top of our dresser. But anyway, and that was all the news I had around the parks.
Well, that's fantastic. We'll be back next week with some Easter news. I think the Easter Bunny just arrived over at Disney.
He has risen.
Is that correct? And
the Easter Bunny has risen.
I guess.
Right? That's when everyone's celebrating next Sunday.
E-Bunny.
Not the rising of anybody else, just the bunny.
Just the bunny.
No.
But we hope that you guys have a fabulous week. We really enjoyed being here with you, and we'll talk soon.
This has been a Family Travel Planner production.